Well, good morning, everybody, and happy hump day. A lot of you were in here early. Man, this whole thing with old Casey Anthony hitting the internet, getting all those views over on TikTok. Hey, Unnamed True Crime Channel, welcome back. You know, when they say you can make a friend anywhere, there's always the internet, okay? The comments, she left the comments on. She left them on. Look at that. I got comments right now. Woo, look at that. Diana Bond, Betty Smith, Elsa's back. Outdoorsy Life. Look at that. Welcome, welcome, Peachy Dragon. Thank you so much, Unnamed. You have no idea how much that means. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Yeah, just kind of when I thought things were quieting down. Okay? Just quieting down. Like the Kool-Aid Man, here comes Casey Anthony on TikTok. All right. I was expecting an OnlyFans, you know, kind of like Candace tried to do when she was hanging out with Kathy over at the pond, taking pictures of her ass by the pond. You know, she was like reflecting on life. Casey lives in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Lisa A., I had been hoping, because she doesn't live that far from there, was kind of hoping that she would become friends with her on the TikTok, meet up, hang out, find out what really happened. But hey, I mean, O.J. Simpson was out looking for the real killer too. You know, that's how it goes. Let's take a second and go through our Wednesday. What we do, we got to say hi to Mike.
Oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woo-hoo!
And I've got on my pink. OJ didn't have any pink on. Well, here, I'm going to put a pink Post-it note on OJ. There you go. It's right there. Try to get it off. He loves Post-it notes. Oh, this will keep him busy for a while. Who's got their pink on? Because you all can sit with us, but we know who can't. And her name is Casey Anthony. We wear pink. And look at this. Shonda, my girl Shonda, gifted 10 Crime Lines and Lies memberships. You guys are making me blush. Get your umbrellas. V. Oakley said, I'm trying to train my pup to fetch. Well, we're trying to train OJ not to be an asshole, but it's not really working. Looks like we have some breaking news in here. Very rarely do we get breaking news, but I'm going to go straight to it. Straight from our chat. Breaking news. All right, our friend Joy Jones, breaking news, says, we do not, OJ, get off that. We do not claim Casey Anthony in Tennessee. Joy Jones, right there. We don't claim her. Come on, Brooks. Trying to get Lisa to take one for the team, like I'm trying to get True Crime Beat to do over in Florida. You know, with Jen Soto. Order up that DoorDash. Get your vegan goodies from Jen Soto. Strike up a convo. Lisa A., I brought it up to her about Casey Anthony, and she got this. Yeah, right. Lisa A. is not going to deal with Casey Anthony. Another person that could easily take a little sojourn across the beautiful state of Tennessee. Chop, chop, ladies. Exactly. Angel P. She said, get the duck out of Tennessee. Oh, my God. Comment of the day. You know what? This is actually something I would do if I had some box wine. Call Ernie for that. Let's let Ernie know what's going on. Sad fact of the matter is, Casey would probably wind up falling in love with Ernie, and next thing you know, they would have a show together. This is insane. And this, honestly, exactly, Susan, this should be the name of a channel, okay? It's Never Duck. Nobody ever says, get the duck out. We know what they mean. All right, let's get to it because it is crazy. I can't believe it. This is from WKMG News in Orlando. True Crime Beats Backyard.
Years ago, a Central Florida jury acquitted Casey Anthony of murdering her daughter, Kaylee. Now, Anthony is back in the public eye, promoting her new social media channel.
News 6 investigator Mike DeFore.
I'll pause it right there. She wants to be an influencer. Okay? She wants to be an influencer. Remember when O.J. Simpson was going on that big golf tour? And he was at like every golf course in Florida saying, I'm not here looking for the real killer. This is what we're dealing with, guys. This is what we're dealing with. She's TikToking it, my friends. She's TikToking it. Now, I do know somebody who's pretty vested in TikTok. And she's laying under a pink blanket recovering from an illness right now. We might get her to get on this because she got some connections. Can we all put in the chat? I'm going to do it. Hashtag come on cat. Woo! We got it now.
Forrest has covered Casey Anthony's legal saga from the very beginning. So, Mike, tell us why she's going on social media now.
Well, Ginger, the timing is unclear, but in a TikTok video posted over the weekend promoting her new online newsletter, Casey Anthony says she plans to discuss her daughter, her family, and her job as a, quote, legal advocate.
What does she think? She's Kim Kardashian? Legal advocate. She wants to... Okay, I'm going to make up a term for me, okay? Because I love how people on the internet make up these phrases to make them look important. We know what Casey is. What should I call myself? You know how Bullhorn Betty goes around all the time and she's got that laminated thing that says press? You know, reporters, influencers. Somebody help me with something. She is a legal advocate. Going to talk about her child, going to talk about her family. She's actually offering her services for legal advocacy. Now, we spoke yesterday on the Members Live about the lawsuit. If you missed the Members Live, you have to go see it. It was a lot of fun. Shanann Watts' little brother, Frankie, sued a creator, that seems to be the popular word, over in the United Kingdom. Armchair Detective, you might remember him. And they won. They won. She is so diabolical. So diabolical. She's probably hoping somebody does something like that to her since she has been acquitted and she can sue. Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, my name is Casey Anthony. My daughter is Kaylee Anthony. My parents are George and Cindy Anthony.
In this TikTok video, Casey Anthony promotes a newsletter she's begun publishing on the website Substack. Subscriptions to that newsletter will cost followers $10 a month or $100 a year, although Anthony says she'll provide some content for free.
As a proponent for the LGBTQ community, for our legal community, women's rights, I feel that it's important that I use this platform that was thrust upon me and now look at as a blessing as opposed to the curse that it has been since 2008.
Lord have mercy. OMG. People are signing up for this shit. Some stuff will be free, But the more you pay, you actually get access to her. Listen to that again. Who in the world does she think she is? Get your checkbooks ready, Casey. Oh, look at this, $100 a year? Annual. So you can subscribe. Founding member, $250 a year. Monthly, $10. Wow. And the platform, it was thrust upon her. No, she's had some other thrusting. She's had some thrusting. Nobody was asking her to do this.
She'll provide some content for free.
As a proponent for the LGBTQ community,
Okay, I missed it.
A newsletter she's begun publishing on the website Substack. Subscriptions to that newsletter will cost followers $10 a month or $100 a year, although Anthony says she'll provide some content for free.
as a proponent for the LGBTQ community, for our legal community, women's rights, I feel that it's important that I use this platform that was thrust upon me and now look at as a blessing as opposed to the curse that it has been since 2008.
2000.
Nobody needs her ass. Women's rights? Her daughter would be becoming a woman now. Really? The LGBTQ, always get it messed up when I say it. The LGBTQ community, they don't need her ass around. The hell's she gonna do?
2008 is when Anthony was arrested for the murder of her 2-year-old daughter, Kaylee. At trial, Anthony's lawyers claim the toddler accidentally drowned in the family's backyard swimming pool.
We, the jury, find the defendant not guilty.
After Anthony's acquittal and her release from jail in 2011, she began working for a private investigator who served on her defense team.
I am a legal advocate. I am a researcher.
For more than a decade, Anthony remained relatively low profile until appearing in a 2022 documentary on Peak.
Did anybody subscribe to Peacock and watch that documentary? I made it through a little bit of it, and I was just like, I didn't have the stomach for it, if you know what I mean. I just did not have the stomach for it. Good morning to Boston Moms. And she is going to be making a lot of money off of her daughter's murder. Mark my words. Because this crime is infamous. Okay? It is infamous. I just don't find her to be believable. To this day, people say, how did she just walk out? And the jury say, well, easy. They didn't have a cause of death. They wanted to give her, I think, second degree or manslaughter. Jeff Ashcroft way overcharged her. Jose Baez said, no, I prepared my defense on capital murder and the death penalty. Those are the charges. That's what we're here to defend. We're not going to make your job easier by giving her a plea deal now. You know, you guys overshot, not our problem. And when the judge was reading the instructions to the jury, they've spoke about it for years. They didn't have any choice. They said if there was something else offered, they would have done it.
In which the woman once branded Tot Mom maintained her innocence. Now it appears Anthony will be expanding her online presence.
I appreciate your time, and we'll see how this goes.
Anthony says she'll probably be discussing her parents who still live in Orange County, but Anthony claims her newsletters will mostly involve legal matters. To be clear, Casey Anthony is not a lawyer.
It looks like she already has thousands of people who are following her.
And this was just over the weekend that video popped up.
Yeah, and you can imagine she's going to get more because people are so curious about this case. Now, on that TikTok video, she says she wants to reintroduce herself. I don't know if I would have known that was her if she had not had a name up there. How are people reacting to this reintroduction?
Well, first of all, keep in mind, in the eyes of the law, Casey Anthony is not guilty of her daughter's murder, and she does have some supporters out there. In fact, she's always had some supporters.
you know, yeah, she is, according to the law, not guilty. The jurors who have wrestled with this decision for umpteen years have said we didn't have any choice because the law says. Okay, so I see what the news anchor is saying. She's not guilty. She was found not guilty. We don't have double jeopardy here. But you know what? Just go away. Because being found not guilty does not mean you're innocent.
But most of the comments I've read with these new videos are very critical of Anthony. Some say they're sickened by this. Others believe that she's trying to now profit off of her infamy with that subscription newsletter.
You know, if people don't get on social media to not get attention. So it's having the intended impact, I think.
We'll probably be hearing some more.
Yeah,
I'm sure we will.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
I love their dresses, I'm not going to lie. They have a really good stylist. Okay, so here we are. Here she is. Here's the channel, whatever it's called. What is it? Casey, follow me on TikTok. I'm not following her, by the way. I don't really use TikTok. Let's look at a few of the comments. Oh, here it is. Casey Anthony official. Follow me on TikTok. The official Casey Anthony of TikTok. Legal advocate Casey Anthony. Official Casey Anthony. Casey Anthony of TikTok. Then FYP. I don't know what FYP means. Okay. Casey Anthony rebranding herself as a legal advocate is like Jeffrey Dahmer opening a steakhouse. Woo! Gin and Juice said, I'd rather follow your daughter, but you made sure she didn't get that chance. This chick said, been in the legal field since 2011. Girl, you were on trial. This lady, 420, which, by the way, did you know that Easter's going to be on 420? That just hit me the other day, and I don't smoke. This comment section didn't let me down. You cannot be a voice for someone when you took a voice away. You can't rebrand. We know who you are. This chick said, as a woman with women's rights, you don't speak on women's rights when you couldn't even report your own child missing. It goes on. And I'm telling you right now, the comments do not disappoint. And she left the comments on. Question is, she doesn't care as long as people are paying that $100 a year or $250 a year, or they're getting the bargain basement package for $10 a month.
We're sweat to death. Okay. Today.
She's in Tennessee. How hot is it in Tennessee? She's sweating to death. She's with that married dude in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. She's sweating to death.
Is Saturday, March 1st, 2025. This is my first of probably many recordings on a series that I'm starting. I am a legal advocate. I am a researcher. I've been in the legal field since 2011.
I've been in the legal field since 2011. That'd be like saying I got a DUI in 2009, and so I've been an alcohol counselor since then. No, you were on trial for the murder of your daughter.
And in this capacity, I feel that it's necessary, if I'm going to continue to operate appropriately as a legal advocate, that I start to advocate for myself and also advocate for my daughter. For those of you who don't know, my name is Casey Anthony. My daughter is Kaylee Anthony. My parents are George and Cindy Anthony. This is not about them. This is not in response to anything that they have said or done. That's not to say that I'm not going to respond at some point to some of the things that they have said and done.
Oh, she's mad. Look at that face. This doesn't mean I'm not going to respond to some of the things they have said and done. Listen, if Jeff Ashcroft had just used your Google searches, you'd be toast.
The whole point of this is for me to begin to reintroduce myself. I'm doing this both personally for me, but in a professional capacity. Moving forward, the majority of what you will see will be me speaking in a professional capacity. My goal is to continue to help give a voice to people, to give people tools and resources that they can utilize so they actually know where they can turn to. So with that, please join me on Substack.
What is Substack? Reintroduce myself. We watched the trial. You didn't even take the stand. Your dad took the stand. Your mom took the stand. Your brother Lee was in the gallery. Looks like he was about to lose his mind. You didn't take the stand.
If you have questions, I will set up an email address where we can correspond directly. Up until this point, that has never happened. And it's only going to be on a limited basis regarding.
Yep. So $250 a year, she's going to answer your damn emails. This is crazy.
Legal issues, legal matters. One of the main reasons that I'm doing this, there are people close to me who have been targeted and attacked recently. There are also people close to me who have had some recent things occur. And when necessary, people needed to step up, myself included.
Okay. I think it's absolutely atrocious that to this day, people still bother her family. Cindy, George, Lee. Yes, Cindy lied on the stand. We know she did to try to protect her daughter. She should have been prosecuted, in my opinion, because you're not going to get justice for this beautiful little girl when her own grandma is lying. Okay? People need to leave them alone. I think they need to leave Casey alone too. Maybe her and her boyfriend started having problems because he realized this might be a little toxic with her around.
So as a proponent for the LGBTQ community, for our legal community, women's rights, I feel that it's important that I use this platform that was thrust upon me and now look at as
I want to know who's begging her to have a TikTok.
a blessing as opposed to the curse that it has been since 2008. With that, these aren't going to be perfect. They're not going to be edited. Most of the time, they're not going to be short. But I am proverbially standing in the light.
She's in the light. Look at the people at Universal Studios that had their days and weeks and everything disrupted because she lied about working there. What about her grandma, where she stole all those checks from her? You know, this woman's on Social Security. She's on a fixed income, and Casey was stealing from her. What about this Zainata Gonzalez, Zanny the nanny, that they busted in her house looking for Kaylee, and this woman had never met Casey and never met Kaylee.
Embracing this piece, still going to keep my privacy intact, so you will get very comfortable with my car, and I will explain in great detail why it's so important for people to protect their privacy. It's not just important to public figures, it's even more important to private individuals. And
well, yeah, I think we all know that. We don't need to be going around the internet saying, hey, send me a letter, here's my address. Or yeah, you can call me anytime and like publicly throw up our private information. However, there's no protecting your privacy when you're charged with a crime. You see, it's a public record. We are allowed to go watch what goes down in court. That's part of our checks and balances. She wants to protect her privacy, but now she's on a huge platform. I mean, she got 21, almost 22,000 comments on this. How many followers does she have right now? I can't see. I heard it was like 60-some thousand already.
And with the current climate in our country, especially, it's that much more important, which is why I am utilizing the Substack platform. Yes, I am advertising this and publishing this on TikTok, possibly also through other meta platforms, but my intention is to separate from that and showcase even more why Substack is such an important resource for people to utilize moving forward.
And for her to make money. Okay? And for her to make money. Now, I know a lot of people are not fans of Nancy Grace, but you knew she was going to weigh in because Nancy Grace about lost her mind when Casey Anthony was acquitted. She came on and she said, well, the devil is dancing tonight. Kat OG is back from Greece. She said, considered GFM 250 for a private audience with this bee. Well, once I get that email, I'm going to send that to her, Kat. Can we have a round of applause for Kat? Looks like she's going to take one for the team if we sweet talk her. Looks like it could happen. We know Joy and Lisa A won't. Rapper Sid Brooks, Casey Anthony is 38 years old. She sure is. Old enough to know better, don't you think, rapper? All right. Nancy Grace having that meltdown.
Emergency. I called a little bit ago, the deputy sheriff said I found out my granddaughter has been taken. She has been missing for a month. There's something wrong. I found my daughter's car today, and it smells like there's been a dead body in the damn car. Okay, what is the 3-year-old's name? Kaylee.
Besides Kaylee's beautiful face, when this hit the airwaves everywhere, the first thing that stuck out, at least to me, was this child hasn't been seen in over a month. Then you couldn't go to a grocery store, doctor's office, or anything without some magazine showing Casey out partying while her daughter is, well, she wasn't missing, if you know what I mean. Getting tattoos, hanging out with the dudes. But her mom was like, I'm not having this. And she calls 911 and said, it smells like there's been a dead body in the car. Casey said it was pizza. Cadaver dogs don't pick up on Domino's.
My daughter has been taken. She has been missing for a month. There's something wrong. I found my daughter's car today, and it smells like there's been a dead body in the damn car. Okay, what is the 3-year-old's name? Kaylee.
There's just so much to get to regarding Tot Mom's reemergence. Straight out to Rob Dick, former bodyguard. You believe that something precipitated Tot Mom's catapult back onto the public stage. What?
Well, I think the new issue with Gypsy getting her show after Casey's show has been denied by everybody. Once again, she has to come to the forefront. She has to try to be out there in the spotlight, as she always tries.
You stated,
woo, jealous. Kind of like when Candace Wells was getting a little mad about Katie Proudfoot taking some of her limelight. She even replied to a comment when someone said, Candace, are you jealous that Katie Proudfoot's taking some of your spotlight? And she said, of course I am. Gypsy Rose, out of jail, making those bucks, getting that lettuce. Dollar bills, y'all. Casey's sitting there going, whoa, I've got a bigger story than that.
That she made comments regarding Gypsy getting, a reality show or something like that?
Well, no, when she first emerged and there was a big push about her, Casey had to put herself in front and say, she's so over Gypsy. And then now,
well, like Tot Mom said she's over Gypsy Blanchard.
Yes, back when she first emerged and was getting, a spotlight.
Casey did get mad. Can you imagine two pieces of shit fighting for the spotlight? You got Gypsy Rose, who on one hand, I sympathize for what she was going through. On the other hand, look, you're out of jail, live your life. Quit talking about how the D is on fire and you're going to be on Lifetime and you're getting a reality show and you want to meet Taylor Swift and you want to get with Kim Kardashian and you want to get all this stuff going. And you have all these public baby showers, which were really weird, really weird. And here comes Casey Anthony going, I'm so over her. Oh my God. People know what the real case is. I'm so over her.
Nationwide.
Wait, Gypsy Rose Blanchard suffered child abuse, horrible child abuse for her whole childhood up until her adulthood. Shannon Butler joining me, WFTV, Channel 9 in Florida. Gypsy was tortured. She lost all of her teeth. She was subjected to multiple surgeries she didn't need. She was forced to go around in a wheelchair. She lost all of her hair because of these drastic medical treatments. And that went on for years and years and years at the hand of her mother, who just wanted to get the money in the state funds. Wait, and Tot Mom is saying she's over Gypsy?
Of all the cases.
All right, Nancy, let's not be pumping Gypsy up, okay? We know things didn't go the way they should have when Gypsy was being raised. We got it. At some point, some people call it Stockholm Syndrome. Some people call it brainwashing. There's all kinds of names that people on the internet came up with. Everybody's a doctor, lawyer, accountant, and psychologist, psychiatrist on the internet. It's a weird thing. They know a lot. Let's not prop up Gypsy anymore. But let's not put any more wind in her sails, okay? It says the death of Casey Anthony. Casey Anthony was charged in the death of her daughter Kaylee, but was found not guilty in a court of law. Oh yeah, that was verdict heard round the world.
That we've done over the years that Casey Anthony can compare to anybody else. It was such a bizarre case. And it's so weird to me that she would even compare herself to somebody like Gypsy or anyone for that matter.
Okay, and these pictures are while Kaylee is missing, before anyone knew she was gone.
Okay, Rob Dick joining me. This is Casey Anthony's former bodyguard, bounty hunter, now owner of Renegade Investigations.
Rob Dick, this could be Ernie Shell, I'm telling you. He was her former bodyguard. He's a private investigator, all this stuff. He doesn't look like a bodyguard to me. He looks like he couldn't beat himself out of a wet paper sack. I'm telling you, whoever gave me the idea earlier, let's get Ernie on it.
You had her in the car with you. You were her bodyguard. Describe her demeanor. And this is before her daughter, Kelly's body was found. At that point, Kelly was just missing, although she had been dead for months.
As soon as she was out of custody and she was back at home, she had not a care in the world. Again, it was nothing about her daughter. It was supposedly missing at the time. It was just about her.
As you all know by now, Tot Mom has re-emerged on the public stage with a TikTok account. Troy Slayton, veteran defense attorney, what do you make of her demeanor while Kelly is still missing before her body is found? Just very nonplussed.
I think that there's no guidebook. There's no textbook for how somebody's supposed to act in an incredibly traumatic.
We hear that all the time, and we try to give the benefit of the doubt. Okay? We really try to. Maybe Rob Dick Rob Thrust, maybe he should have counseled her a little bit more about how to act. We hear it in every case. Well, we don't know how people are going to act. Yeah, but we know what is possibly normal behavior for the situation. Hers is not. No.
Traumatic situation. I know I've had many clients, some guilty, some not guilty, who act in ways that I think maybe I wouldn't act. If she maybe has a way in her brain to separate out and to protect herself from.
And that blue dress became almost as popular as Monica Lewinsky's blue dress with the presidential spooge on it. Yes. Everyone talked about her in that blue dress at the hot body contest.
From a horribly traumatic situation. If she is indeed the victim of sexual abuse from her parents, if she really believes that that was happening to her child, the brain has incredible mechanisms to protect your own psyche from those horrible traumatic events. So maybe.
So is this what a counselor would suggest for horrific events? Tattoos, hot body contests, lying about what happened, not looking for your child. That's number one. That comes up in every trial. When a parent's not looking for their own child, that is beyond a red flag. Look at these skeezes.
See, that's what was happening here. I don't know. I don't know whether she did it or whether she didn't do it. All I know is that a jury found her not guilty.
In the last hours, Top Mom Casey Anthony back on the forefront, positioning herself to make money off you. Listen.
I am a legal advocate. I am a researcher. I've been in the legal field since 2011. And in this capacity, I feel that it's necessary, if I'm going to continue to operate appropriately as a legal advocate, that I start to advocate for myself and also advocate for my daughter.
That is from Tot Mom's TikTok account at @CaseyAnthony_Substack. Troy Slayton, you heard her state, I am, quote, in the legal field since 2011. You mean when she was tried for her daughter's murder? I mean, you're in the legal field. Do you equate that to being in the legal field, that you were tried for murder?
Look, I chuckled at that myself, Nancy. I have no idea what she's talking about, being a quote unquote legal advocate. I know attorneys are legal advocates. I don't know how she can advocate for somebody who's deceased, or it really seems like.
How do you advocate for someone that's already deceased? Seth Rogers is more of a legal advocate than she is. She was on trial for murder. Mounds of evidence. That trial went on. I didn't think it was ever going to end. I didn't think it was ever going to end. Legal advocate.
Like this is self-promotion. I mean, that's what we all know that it is. And I agree with you. This is at its base, self-promotion. It's a money grab, but that doesn't change the facts of the case. No, looking at her as a legal advocate is kind of like looking at OJ as an advocate for victims of domestic violence.
Dr. Bethany Marshall, you heard Tot Mom.
I like that. I like that. That would be like OJ Simpson saying, I'm an advocate for domestic violence. We know he beat the hell out of Nicole Brown Simpson. We know that. Or like the comment we read on the TikTok that said, that's like Jeffrey Dahmer opening up a steakhouse. And she's getting a ton of hate views. And I guarantee she's got a ton of subscriptions.
State that she is, quote, in the legal field since 2011. Help me.
Well, that's what we call grandiosity. She sees Gypsy Blanchard having a reality TV show. Now she wants that idealized life. Now she wants to be a reality TV star. She probably looks at friends who have more money and she thinks, hey, I can make some money on Substack and TikTok. So in a way, this is the same kind of offending pattern that's going to run throughout the rest of her life. You know, who she's really pickpocketing is the public. She's playing on all of our goodwill. She's lying. She's saying.
Okay, so what I'm seeing is, okay, Shannon, thank you. She has a little over 18,000 followers. All right, but the views are in the millions. Two Boston moms said, Brooks, if there was said, legit question I have. Me too. If Kaylee truly just drowned in the pool, then how did she wind up in the woods with duct tape over her mouth? She had been dead for so long when the gas man found her, the toxicology couldn't find what could have been in her body. So what, I mean, a child drowns in the woods? You're telling me that George Anthony, he has a bit of a creep vibe. Okay, I'm not going to lie. He does. You're telling me that he didn't try to do the right thing for his granddaughter? No.
She's advocating for her daughter. She's grandiose. She is propping herself up, trying to gain sympathy, and she's abusing the public so she can get money. So I want to say to the public, don't be manipulated. She tried to manipulate her parents. She manipulated the jury. She manipulated her attorney. She's manipulated Troy Slayton. Sorry, Troy, but don't let her manipulate you.
To Shannon Butler joining us, investigative reporter WFTV, Channel 9, Florida, this jurisdiction.
Paper slut screwing with me. He said, you don't want Casey to be your new mod, Brooks? Ugh, I don't think that would work. Pretend judge. What a great name. Said Zanny, as in Xanax, the nanny. Casey was telling the truth in her lies. Yep. And as far as her relationship with Jose Baez, I always thought the thing was really weird. Because when this unknown dude in Florida, not that I would know him, in Oklahoma, comes out of the woodwork, and when people say pro bono, they assume that a public defender is doing something for free. No, they're getting paid. Not their usual hourly rate, but they are getting paid. And they will go back to the court. It doesn't work sometimes it doesn't, and says, need more money. We're seeing it right now in the Idaho 4 case. Need more money. I can't properly defend this person unless you allot me more funds. But Jose Baez said, I'm going to do this for free. He went from having like a one-room office and a half-ass waiting room to an entire law firm. To the point, Letitia Stout was going around telling people that he was going to represent her in Gannon's death.
Has she ever actually had a job?
Gosh, I don't remember back then if she worked or not, but I mean, over the last few years, the only thing she's done is work for a member of her team. We have not heard since then that she has done anything else but that. But even when
wasn't
she
she
younger,
living in the family home of the defense defense investigator? Wasn't she living with them? I bet that wore pretty thin.
Yeah, right after that trial, she went and lived there and started working for him. I mean, you saw in that documentary that she did that she was there. But I don't remember as her being younger what she did or didn't do as a job, because she lived with her parents when we were introduced to her.
So never held down a job. I think, did she ever work at Universal, or did she just get her hands on a Universal Studio employee outfit? Rob, did she?
According to Jesse, she worked for the photo part of it, for Kodak inside Universal Park. She was never an event promoter.
Okay, so all that's just BS. Okay, so never held down a job, although she convinced her parents that she was going to Universal every day. I wonder where Kelly was while she was at work. That said, then of course there was the man she lived off. Listen.
The now 38-year-old tot mom meets her latest conquest at the South Florida gym where they both work out. Tyson Ray Rhodes, an engineer for an aerospace company, and his wife of 22 years moved from South Florida to Tennessee at the beginning of the year.
In her most recent move, Casey Anthony has uprooted her life in Florida to be with her new man in Tennessee, who has 2 sons. One of Anthony's friends tells the New York Post the once accused murderer doesn't care if he's married or not, saying all she knows is that he makes her feel good, and she likes that. She was with.
Woo! The feels getting all tingly. She doesn't care that this guy in Tennessee is married and she's breaking up a family. She just knows that he makes her feel good. Woo! How did Tennessee man meet Casey Anthony? He makes me feel good. I don't care what he's got going on, but boy, he makes me feel good.
Parents that she was going to Universal every day. I wonder where Kelly was while she was at work. That said, then of course there was the man she lived off. Listen.
The now 38-year-old tot mom meets her latest conquest at the South Florida gym where they both work out. Tyson Ray Rhodes, an engineer for an aerospace company, and his wife of 22 years moved from South Florida to Tennessee at the beginning of the year.
In her most recent move, Casey Anthony has uprooted her life in Florida to be with her new man in Tennessee, who has 2 sons. One of Anthony's friends tells the New York Post the once accused murderer doesn't care if he's married or not, saying all she knows is that he makes her feel good, and she likes that. She was willing to follow him to Tennessee. She sees a future with him.
So Dr. Bethany Marshall, she goes from her parents' home, no job, never worked. No. Okay, except the stint with Kodak at Universal. Then moves in with the boyfriend.
Right.
Then goes to jail. Then gets out of jail. Then moves in with a man and his family, that a guy that worked on the defense team. Then claimed that she was a photographer. Then moves in with this married man after he kicks his wife out. He now says he regrets that. Well, boo-hoo. Now she's standing on the shoulders of George Anthony and using him to promote her new TikTok venture. I mean, it's just a string of one guy at what?
I have one word for that. Parasite. She's a parasite. She lives off her hosts. The only reason she had Kaylee was so she could extract money from her parents, right? The only reason she went to work for Patrick McKenna is she didn't really want to have a real job. The only reason
Okay, that aside, we know she's a lazy bitch, okay? The jails will be stacked up with lazy bitches. I'm serious. Just throw a dart around the internet. Tons of lazy ass people. Tons. Okay, we know she's a parasite. We know that. What I want to know is how does she continue to manipulate these people? And I want to know how much money has she gotten from George and Cindy since she got out of jail? How much? Because I would have wrote her off. Child or not, she'd be done.
She's on TikTok is so she can exploit sympathy. The only reason she took up with a married man was she thought that he would support her and give her money. It's called a parasitic lifestyle, Nancy. And if any of your viewers look up the characteristics of a sociopath, one of the features, one of the essential criteria is that they have a parasitic lifestyle with poor behavioral controls, hypersexuality, lying, conning, manipulativeness, a calm exterior that hides a cold, calculated interior, multiple sexual partners. I mean, I could go on and on, but this parasitic thing is really a part of that whole disorder.
Troy Slayton with us, high-profile lawyer out of L.A. Troy, you keep going on and on about how a jury acquitted her. We know that, but let me ask you, are you going to subscribe? Are you willing to fork over $100 to Tot Mom Casey Anthony so we can hear her spew about George and Cindy some more?
Personally, I'd rather keep my Netflix, Hulu, Paramount, all Max, all the other streaming services rather than subscribe to this. Look, Nancy, all she needs is 3,000 people out of the 350 million people in America to subscribe to this, and she'd be making $300,000 a year. And I think there's also
she's already
something else.
got 3,000. She already has nearly 3,000 right now.
There's something else we need to remember. We hear her.
Hold on, Kat has a question. Can someone explain the top mom thing? It's tot mom. Nancy Grace has always said tot mom because Kaylee was a toddler at the time. And she would lose her mind every night when she was on headline news. It was Jane Velez Mitchell on, I think, at 6 o'clock, and then right after was Nancy Grace. And I mean, she was on her like white on rice every night. That's a big problem with the Kyron Horman case, because everybody was very vested in Kyron Horman, and then Tot Mom happened, Kaylee Anthony, and you couldn't look away.
And Dad getting polygraphed on the A&E special. There's a reason why polygraphs are not admissible in court. It's because they're not reliable. It's because you can get all kinds of questionable results.
You know, we've been following true crime on this channel for a very long time together. Do y'all ever get sick of these experts explaining stuff to us that we already know? We understand the polygraph. Why on earth would they even talk about it? That thing probably blew up like a firecracker on the 4th of July because Casey Anthony cannot tell the truth. We know they're not admissible.
They're not scientific, and
we know. Thank you again.
They're not.
Okay, so I guess you're trying to say George is lying and somehow managed to pass a poly. Well, Tot Mom never even took a poly. And speaking of dragging her parents back through the mud,
when it's not required,
now she's going to target the LGBTQ community. Listen,
as a proponent for the LGBTQ community, for our legal community, women's rights, I feel that it's important that I use this platform that was thrust upon me and now look at as a blessing as opposed to the curse that it has been since 2008.
You did that to yourself, woman. It wasn't thrust upon you. You did that to yourself. That's from the official TikTok account at @CaseyAnthony_Substack. You know, the LGBTQ community, Dr. Bethany, they have enough problems. They are attacked every day just because of who they are, how they feel, how they present. Really, for nothing. They're attacked for nothing.
Yeah. So why on earth, when you have a community that's targeted by people that are, well, very ignorant, I'll just say it that, why would they want to be lumped in with this piece of shit? Come on.
And now they've got Tot Mom jumping on the bandwagon. I mean,
they're attacked.
Who needs help like that? Did they ask her to help them? I doubt it.
No, and did you hear how officious she sounds? Like she is sort of the savior of this particular community, like she's the savior of her daughter. She's the savior of people who need, you know, legal help or need to talk about their own privacy rights. It's just the grandiosity again, Nancy. That's what I hear. But
wait, think about it, Dr. Bethany. She's acting like the LGBTQ community, they're going to just forget about the claim she murdered her daughter. I mean, what? That is so insulting.
But it gives you insight into Casey Anthony's character, and that she does not see them as people with thoughts, feelings, emotions of their own. They're just a class or a race that she's going to exploit in some way. So this is what I think she does, is she exploits her relationships, like I was talking about earlier, so she can have some gain from them.
Tot Mom Casey Anthony was acquitted at trial and was found not guilty. Goodbye, friend.
Yeah. Nancy Grace about lost it on that one. The unnamed True Crime Channel said, look at TT videos of that community tearing her up. That's what we looked at the very beginning of the show. The comments were as Gypsy Rhodes would say, on fire. They were great. Well, this was the latest. This is from the Today Show. Casey promises to answer questions for a fee. You can have access to her, possibly an email address, for a fee, but some things will be free. Okay, right now we're just getting the pickle tickle. Okay, the TikTok pickle tickle. She's just putting it out there to get people interested. But this is what she was saying before the documentary.
Time on camera. Casey Anthony, the woman infamously accused and later acquitted of murdering her own daughter, Kaylee.
As to the charge of first-degree murder, not guilty.
Casey's never told her story.
Is now addressing lingering questions more than a decade after that not guilty decision.
Listen, nobody was going to be happy with anything less than first degree, but they overshot, they overcharged, and the problem with that is, and look, I have no problem with social media, none. And I understand it's a good tool for law enforcement to kind of get the vibe of how people feel about certain cases. This one was pretty easy for them to see that there was immense frustration, hatred, dislike for Casey Anthony. But they thought with that social media presence and all the protesters outside the house that they had what would be called a slam dunk. Well, they messed up because the law doesn't say, oh, this is a slam dunk. The jurors have even said, had they brought something to us like manslaughter, second degree, we would have locked her up. We couldn't do what they were asking.
Decision.
911, what's your emergency? My daughter's been missing for the last 31 days.
Including why it took a month to report Kaylee's disappearance and what happened on the last day she saw her daughter.
The only person in this world that matters to me still is my daughter. But I'm still defending the fact that I didn't hurt her.
In a 3-part limited series, Anthony blames her father, George, for the tragic death, alleging that he staged Kaylee's drowning in order to cover up that he might have been abusing his granddaughter. She tells Peacock,
is that not sick? He staged a drowning to cover up what she thinks he might have been doing to Kaylee. Okay? So from there, she puts her in the trunk of her car, totes her around for goodness, who knows how long. Now, this is after she had already been searching on the internet things about chloroform and stuff like that. But she said George did all this. It was all George. And he staged a drowning. Hey, look, either someone's got water in their belly and their lungs and their brain, or they don't. But he staged it.
Owned by NBC Universal, which also owns NBC News, that the day Kaylee disappeared, she actually fell asleep with the 2-year-old child in her arms, only to be awakened by her father, later holding the lifeless child. In the series, Casey says, she was soaking wet. I can see him standing there with her in his arms and hand her to me and telling me that it's my fault, that I did that I caused that. But he didn't rush to call 911 and he wasn't trying to resuscitate her. For 31 days, Anthony says she thought her daughter was alive and well while she stayed with a boyfriend.
So she sees her daughter's lifeless body, her dad bringing her daughter's lifeless body in. She knows her dad didn't call 911. She knows her dad didn't try to resuscitate her daughter. And she went and stayed with the boyfriend and partied her lady balls off for a good month or more and never thought to report this to anyone. No.
She was perfect.
But back in 2011, Anthony's defense team telling a different story, arguing in court that Kaylee was not killed, but drowned in the family pool. And after the child was found, he helped dispose of the body in order to cover up the death, something George Anthony repeatedly denied during testimony. Casey Anthony now admits she lied about a host of circumstances to police as a consequence of a fractured family life and a father who lawyers accused of sexually abusing her for years.
I lied.
And the only person that could have put Kaylee in the woods is Casey. Did the duct tape not have Casey's fingerprints on it? Was it Casey's car that didn't smell of human decomp?
But no one asked why.
George Anthony also vehemently denied those abuse allegations in court and has never been charged with any crimes related to them. He has not responded yet to our new request for comment on the documentary. As one of the most controversial trials in recent memory,
You do everything in your power to protect your daughter.
deepens with another voice and another chapter. And Casey Anthony was convicted of several charges, including lying to police, for which she served time behind bars. That documentary will be available on November 29th on Peacock. Guys, back to you.
All right, Sam Brock for us there in Florida.
Woo! Woo! Anybody ever handled duct tape before? Of course your fingerprints are going to be on it. I think if they could find the duct tape that was across Michael Vaughn's mouth, which Stacy said still should be on him, they would know real quick. Real quick. But with all of this, what they call circumstantial evidence, she could have had second-degree murder, which in Florida would easily have been life. Easily. So when she says she doesn't remember, but she wants to set the record straight, this is from 10 Tampa Bay. We remember real well.
My daughter finally admitted that the baby's in the store. I need to find her.
Your daughter admitted that the baby is where?
But the babysitter took her a month ago that my daughter's been looking for. I told you my daughter was missing for a month. I just found her today, but I can't find my granddaughter. There's something wrong. I found my daughter's car today, and it smells like there's been a dead body in the damn car.
Okay, what is the 3-year-old's name?
Kaylee.
The emotional thing that you have, you can't describe it. It's just, it tears you up.
And I know in my heart that she was alive. And I know in my heart that Casey feels that she's alive.
The absolute best mother that a child could have.
Okay, Cindy is the ultimate enabler. She's like a Roberta Laundrie. You know, what she did for Brian Laundrie. She's like Adam Montgomery's father. That was taken up for him. Sending him all the money for the beefaroni and the diet Sprites and stuff. Like Tina Mariel, Brandon Shirtliff's mother, that constantly covers for him. I will never, ever understand it. Athena Brownfield's family, they are still trying to act like nothing big happened. Well, something huge happened. This is beyond big. It's beyond huge. There's gargantuan. How about that? Gargantuan.
Asked for that a brother could ask of his sister to be, and an uncle that could ask for his niece. I can speak to that for myself, just from being in that child's life for nearly 3 years now.
This area was a very flooded area during the earlier searches. And right now, we're trying to put it all together. We've been in contact with the FBI.
A busy day in the neighborhood where Kaylee Anthony's grandparents live. They are not inside this home, but investigators did go inside searching for more evidence in the case.
We were just curious, and we just really wanted to pay our respects to the baby.
Oh, people were furious. 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 Doxy Mom. Doxy Mom, you don't have your members badge. What happened? Do I need to reset something? Chris Watts' mother is disgusting. Chris Watts' mother, the way she talked about her dead daughter-in-law and her grandchildren, would make any woman never want to get married just because they would never want a mother-in-law like that. You are still right. You are so right.
Dozens of people gathered outside the home of 3-year-old Kaylee Anthony's grandparents after hearing a child's skeletal remains were found nearby. By nightfall, investigators served a search warrant to look inside that home yet again.
It's just a trauma to the soul, I think, for the whole nation. Everybody is feeling some sort of a heartache for these folks, and deep inside, we all want this little child to be alive, and somehow with all this evidence, it's just ripping us apart.
The area had been searched several times by sheriff's canine units and the volunteer group Texas EquiSearch, but the area where the bones were found was flooded a few months ago.
I don't know. It's hard to even look back there. I mean, I've been back in that area several times searching, and it's not the idea that we missed her. She just wasn't findable because of the damn water. And but you know what? They're all found.
We just talked about Tim Miller on Friday when we were talking about Audrey Cunningham. He has done amazing, amazing work over the years. And unlike some of these searchers and investigators and creators, he puts his money where his mouth is. Is that how you say it? Is it mouth where your money is or money where your mouth is? Anyway, he does amazing, amazing work. And he brought his ass all the way to Florida. And yes, there was a lot of water.
In God's time, and I think God decided that, it's time.
Kaylee's mother met with her attorney after learning the developments behind bars. She's facing first-degree murder charges in connection with her daughter's disappearance, but the 22-year-old mother and her parents have said nothing about the discovery of these remains.
It's very sad to think that a mother can do that, but I don't think there's anyone else that's really involved, according to, all the evidence that's out there.
And while investigators continue to search the house, they also expect to be back in the neighborhood this morning, searching the area where the remains were found. Meanwhile, the medical examiner's office says it could be several days before they get a positive DNA confirmation. Reporting in Orlando, I'm Hedel Gandhi, 10 Connects.
I understand that Casey Anthony is public enemy number one, and that the state attorney's office and the sheriff's department are under a great deal of pressure to close this case.
There's always a tentative ID in any medical examiner's office as to who they think the person is, and then they do a confirmation with regular DNA. That's been my experience, and I'd be quite surprised if the medical examiner's office is sitting out there and saying, oh, this is somebody unknown, and we're devoting all this time and all this energy and all this press and all these objections because we don't believe that this is the child.
Day 2 of verdict watch in the Casey Anthony murder trial. This morning, the jury began their second day of deliberations, and they're deciding if the state proved that Anthony murdered her 2-year-old daughter, Kaylee. A guilty verdict could bring the death penalty.
And it would have. And I remember the whole verdict watch. I was working locally at the time, so I was coming home at lunch to watch it. And when they wanted the judge's instructions again, there was one particular testimony they wanted to read again. And I want to say it was from Dr. G, medical examiner. I could be wrong. It's been a while. But that kind of scared me.
10 News reporter Melanie Michael is the only Bay Area TV reporter in the courtroom today. She joins us now live from the Orange County Courthouse in Orlando. And Melanie, it's been tense here. I can only imagine what it's been like there at the courthouse.
Good afternoon to you, Janie. I've been on the 23rd floor all morning long, sequestered inside the media room. And we should let you know that we are being watched by bailiffs all morning long. If we want to go to the bathroom, we actually have to go to a different floor because on the 23rd floor, there's the media room. There's also the jury room. It is so weird to think that these jurors are having the most envied conversation in the entire world right now, just a few doors away behind a wall. Now, we should let you know that the jurors have not taken a break all morning long. So does that mean anything? anything. Well, there are smokers on this jury, and every single day during the trial, they have taken several breaks during the morning. Today, they haven't taken any breaks. They have already ordered lunch, and they haven't asked for any evidence. So what does all this mean? We can only speculate. But again, we're just waiting to see what the verdict will be. I assume that they'll probably finish lunch, and then we'll have to see what happens during the afternoon deliberations. Now, let's take a look at what happened yesterday. This was the state's rebuttal case. They had that last chance to really address the jurors and talk to them about the prosecution's case. And I tell you what, it was very, very impressive and very strong. One of the strongest closings that I've ever seen from the prosecution. They basically just hammered home the point that prosecutors gave more credible witnesses, more witnesses with experience, and they said that no mother would have ever acted like this if her little girl was dead. Take a listen to this jailhouse conversation that they played for the jurors between Cindy Anthony and Casey Anthony.
You don't know what my involvement is and stuff? Casey. Mom. What? No, I don't know what your involvement is, sweetheart. You're not telling me where she's at. Because where she's at. Are you kidding me? Casey, don't waste your call to scream and holler at me. Waste my call sitting in, the jail? Whose fault is bunks are? Whose fault is you're sitting in the jail? You're blaming me that you're sitting in the jail? Not blame yourself for telling lies. You mean it's not your fault? What do you mean it's not your fault, sweetheart? If you'd have told them the truth and not lied about everything, they wouldn't. Do me a favor, just tell me what Tony's number is. I don't want to talk to you right now. Forget it.
Wow.
Okay, that's part of the problem. Here she is, behind bars. Behind the bars. Her mother is just trying to get her to say something that will help. Yes, her mother is an enabler, 100%. Some people don't know another way to parent except just giving the child's way all the time. They just don't know another way to do it. They don't want to be the bad guy. They don't want to lose contact with their children. It's going to blow up every time. We've seen it over and over again. But here she is. Oh, you're wasting your phone call on this, Casey. I mean, pleading with her. I'm looking at her TikTok, and it's hashtag Casey Anthony, real Casey Anthony, all that. Nothing about Kaylee. Nothing. And then these phone calls from behind bars, she's still talking about that pogo stick she'd been chasing for a month, Tony. She's more worried about getting out and seeing Tony than her daughter. And she's mad.
A very powerful conversation between Casey Anthony and her mother, Cindy, when she was sitting in jail. That was one of the last things, guys, that the jurors heard during those closing arguments by the state. Now, we should tell you once again, Casey is being kept right now in the courthouse. She's not going back to the jail during the day. She's being kept in a holding cell while the jury is deliberating. We're told that they don't know if she's eaten lunch or not, but her parents, will they get to see her prior to her sentencing, prior to her verdict being read, if she is found guilty at all? We just don't know the answer to that. The court, we had a lot of questions for the public information officers, and this morning they have so many things on their hands. There are a lot of unanswered questions, if I can get that out. So we're going to be bringing those to you as the day goes on. I'll be updating WTSP.com and bringing you live reports. As soon as the verdict comes out, we will let you know. We'll get a 30-minute notice time before we get that live. I'm Melanie Michael reporting live this afternoon in Orlando. Very tense day on verdict watch. We'll send it back to you guys.
Evenly, logically, and at some points passionately, lead prosecutor Jeff Ashton walked the Pinellas County jury back through the state's murder case. He said Casey Anthony killed her daughter Kaylee because she wanted to live the fun life of a 22-year-old, not the dedicated life of a mother. To make that happen, she suffocated Kaylee with chloroform and 3 strips of duct tape. Criticized by some analysts as confused and even clueless during the trial, Anthony's lead defense attorney delivered something different Sunday. In a remarkably coherent and compelling closing, Jose Baez attacked the state's forensic evidence point by point, bringing together many of the seemingly random topics he'd questioned witnesses about. Baez was not allowed to refer to one of the most shocking claims he made in his opening statement, that Casey Anthony was sexually abused. The judge ruled he had not brought any evidence to that effect into the trial. Perhaps his most powerful moment, presenting pictures to help jurors imagine his claim Kaylee climbed on her own into the family pool and drowned. It was, in a phrase he often repeated, an accident that snowballed out of control.
Good evening to you from Orlando, from the Orange County Courthouse. She thought she was getting out of jail today after her acquittal earlier this week, but Casey Marie Anthony will have to wait a few more days for her first taste of freedom. She walked in looking relaxed and confident, no doubt anticipating a release from jail today. But Judge Belvin Perry decided otherwise, instead sentencing Casey Anthony to 4 years and a $4,000 fine after she was found guilty of lying to law enforcement officers. With time served and good behavior, Casey will be out by next Wednesday.
I will sentence you to 1 year in the Orange County Jail, imposing a $1,000 fine on each count, all 4 counts to run consecutive to each other.
Protesters outside were furious with the sentence. The majority of them say not guilty doesn't mean innocent. Many of those who watched the trial are convinced Casey killed Kaylee, but there wasn't enough evidence to prove it. They say she got away with murder. But not everyone feels that way.
If I can be her friend, I don't care what people say. I'll be seen with her. I don't care. She deserves it.
So once again, after...
You want to be her friend? You want to be her friend? Are you going to let her babysit your kids? Are you going to say, hey, Casey, I want to be your friend? I totally believe you. Would you let her watch your kids? That's one of the reasons in the Summer Wells case I get so mad about Kathy. I'm like, Kathy, really? Are you going to let Candace around your granddaughter? Which she did.
After 1,043 days of time served and good behavior, Casey Marie Anthony will be a free woman coming up next Wednesday on July 13th as she tries to get her life back after a not guilty verdict of murder in the first degree. I'm Melody Michael in Orange County. 10 News, back to you. Casey Anthony's trial got underway in May, and it didn't take long for the defense to drop the first bombshell. Anthony's lawyer, Jose Baez, told the jury 2-year-old Kaylee Marie Anthony drowned in the family pool and that Casey Anthony and her father, George, covered up the death. He explained Casey's questionable behavior by saying she came from a world of family secrets and incest. Prosecutors painted the accused mother as a self-centered killer who suffocated her little girl, dumped the body, and embarked on a month-long party spree. Witness after witness was called to the stand, but the person the jury never heard from was the defendant herself. Attorneys left the jury with these final words.
Her choice. All right. She put another thing on social media. Good old social media. Can't be away from it, can we? She said, for everyone speaking, good, bad, or otherwise, heed your words and make sure you are saying something of substance. Anyone think she's looking for a lawsuit? I don't know. She said, here's the law in Florida about threats, libel, and slander. You don't have to be a Florida resident to be charged. Jurisdiction is where the crime was committed, comma, usually. No, that's how it goes, but thank you. And if it was an accident, then there shouldn't be a crime. I mean, we know there was a crime, okay? I think they spelled it out. They just overcharged. If it's over the internet and you're saying something hateful, slanderous, libel, threatening, bullying, etc., this sounds like Trisha Jenkins. The recipient party can request the jurisdiction be in the state where they live, not the state where you committed the act. The internet is not a protected place. Woo! That's the legal advocate right there for you. My next thread, I'll be posting that statutes for every one of our 50 states and our territories. Thank you, legal advocate. Even for those of you saying that these things about me, I'm still going to continue to do what I said I was going to do, which is advise you of your rights and the law. Thank you, legal advocate. It is public record, and if necessary, I'll remind you that this is not legal advice, purely public information. You need to educate yourselves before you implicate yourselves. Sounds like a threat to me. You need to educate yourselves before you implicate yourselves. Woo! I would say stop the bullshit, but I think that's asking a little too much. Well, hey, none of my kids have ever been found out in the woods with duct tape over them. We all have the same freedom of speech, but the First Amendment does not protect you against these things most of the time. She said so. Her unsolicited advice is to proceed with caution. Oh, shit's getting real.
Jurors reached a verdict in 11 hours. Casey Anthony was also acquitted on charges of manslaughter and aggravated child abuse. She was found guilty on 4 counts of lying to investigators and was sentenced to 4 years in prison. Taking into account time served and good behavior.
You want to hear the messed up thing? If somebody does screw with her to the point, or George and Cindy, they've got lawsuits all day, hands down, because they were never, ever charged with hurting their granddaughter. Quite the opposite. Casey was. But we have no double jeopardy. So people that are going around accusing her still of killing Kaylee, she might find a way to sue them. I don't know. And even when they go to discovery, they won't, even if she gets on the stand and admits she killed Kaylee, nothing will happen with it because we don't have double jeopardy here.
She was released the following week. However, there was public outrage. Casey Anthony disappeared from.
I want to take this chick out for a drink. Anybody want to join me? Look at this woman. This is awesome.
He was also acquitted on charges of manslaughter and aggravated child abuse. She was found guilty on 4 counts of lying to investigators and was sentenced to 4 years in prison. Taking into account time served and good.
Kat said, has she gone on to have any more kids? Fun fact, in her documentary, she said she doesn't want to have children. Thank goodness for that. Sounds to me like she should have added something in there like, I didn't ever want to have children.
Good behavior. She was
because remember, it came out that when she found out she was pregnant with Kaylee and her mom became aware, she wanted to have an abortion and her mom said no. No. Her parents would have easily raised Kaylee.
Released the following week. However, there was public outrage.
This is a chick I'm talking about. Y'all, we got to take this chick out. I mean, look at she's still got on Christmas earrings. Look at that. She's got like little packages dangling from her ears and everything. She is pissed. I want to take her out for a drink.
Casey Anthony disappeared from public sight. Then in August, she began serving a year-long probation somewhere at an undisclosed location in Florida for a check fraud conviction. George and Cindy Anthony broke their post-trial silence on the Dr. Phil Show.
Kaylee was 3. Kaylee was 3.
And in September, a Florida judge ordered Casey.
See, that's the Dr. Phil I used to like. The one that would tell people this is where the rubber meets the road. I'm from Veneta, Oklahoma. That type of stuff he used to say. You know, not like the way he dealt with Don and Candace. That was just, whoa, that blew my mind. I get it now because of what he was dealing with, but I was a little shocked. But when he says to Cindy, I think you are. I think you are taking up for her.
Casey Anthony to pay state law enforcement $217,000 for investigative costs incurred during her case. The Texas firm that helped with the search for Kaylee is suing Casey Anthony to recoup its expenses.
Casey Anthony is a free woman, and for some Bay Area residents, the news is not sitting so well.
I think it sucks. The system is all screwed up.
Anthony was released from the Orange County Jail just after midnight, her attorney, Jose Baez, by her side. And while many remain outraged over the 25-year-old's acquittal, people out in downtown Tampa who spoke to 10 News say this should also mark the end of the case against Anthony in the public's eye.
It's going to still be on people's minds, but it needs to stop. It's over. They couldn't really prove anything, I guess, at that point. So it's kind of done. Everybody needs to get on with their lives and, go about their business.
They have to move on with the situation. We all have our own opinions, but we can't really use our opinions when I feel she had a fair trial.
It's unclear where Anthony is now after leaving the jail in an SUV, but most people seem to agree that it may be near impossible for her to lead a normal life.
She better go change her name, get a facelift, do something. Because she ain't going to get nothing around in Florida. She has nothing, no life.
I love this chick. She better change her name, get a facelift or something. Get a facelift or something, because she's like, she's not wanted around Florida. This chick is awesome. Awesome. When we were covering the Evelyn Boswell trial, there were several people from Tennessee saying, if Megan gets out, she better go into hiding because people know who she is.
Life in Florida. Nobody was going to hire her. Nobody thought they're going to remember. That's all they're going to remember is baby killer.
But in the eyes of the law, Anthony is not guilty and is free. Some say if justice was not served in this case, it will eventually be.
If she indeed did something wrong, she's going to be punished for it.
Just a little surreal how much things have changed since July and how many things haven't changed.
No one really knows what's going on in the mind of Casey Anthony, but now her most intimate thoughts and personal conversations are made public. Judge Belvin Perry unsealed multiple documents where Casey underwent a mental health evaluation before her murder trial. Dr. Jeffrey Danziger examined Casey and said, I have a very difficult time going through this because she is accusing people of very bad things that may not be true. I am just deeply worried that I'm doing the wrong thing. I'm puzzled why she's in a good mood reading books.
Okay. This was a psych eval. This is from a doctor. This is not from someone on Facebook. This is not from someone on YouTube or the TikTok or the Twitter. None of that. I have a very difficult time going through this because she is accusing people of very bad things that may not be true. I'm just deeply worried that I'm doing the wrong thing. I'm puzzled why she's in a good mood. Reading books in jail, and she's calm. You ever been around a crazy person that's real calm? They're scary. They're very scary people. people.
Books in jail and calm. I essentially asked her, I said, I'm surprised you're feeling so well. And I said, can you explain that? And then she replied to me, my gut feeling is Kaylee is okay. I can sense, I feel that she's close. I know in my heart and my gut, things are still okay. 10 News spoke with a longtime local psychiatrist, Dr. Walter Afield. He says Casey is a good actress and seductive, much like Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction.
She lies. She manipulates, and the doctors say compartmentalizes. She doesn't know kind of truth from reality.
One thing that Dr. Afield points out is that doctors are not magicians. A patient can go in and say anything they want, and it's hard to tell whether or not they're lying or telling the truth.
In fact, in one document, prosecutors asked the doctor point blank, was her demeanor of someone that looked completely truthful? The doctor answered, her demeanor, the best way to say it, is she was calm, cooperative, and pleasant, as if we were discussing someone who had a parking ticket. She was friendly and cooperative. She admits to having a flirtatious streak. Then Casey talks about the alleged sexual abuse. Prosecutor Jeff Ashton asks the doctor, so she's accusing her father, George Anthony, of having sexual intercourse with her? The doctor answers, oral sex, forcing oral sex. She just said everything. Yes, that's what she said. She said it stopped by age 11, told no one till last year. As far as what happened to Kaylee Anthony, the doctor says Casey claims her father murdered the child. She said, I think he held her underwater. Maybe he was doing something to her and he tried to cover it up. After 9 a.m., father woke me up. He's shaking me. He's screaming at me. Where's Kaylee? She said he had Kaylee in his arms soaking wet. There's an above-ground pool. He said, it's your fault. It's your fault. You're a bad mother.
No.
Meanwhile, Casey Anthony remains in hiding. Melanie Michael, 10 News.
Almost 5 years after a jury found Casey Anthony not guilty of murdering her 2-year-old daughter, Kaylee, the man hired to investigate for her defense says that's not true. In a deposition, Dominic Casey claims Jose Baez told him Anthony murdered Kaylee and dumped the body. He also says that Casey Anthony wanted to pin the murder on her family or the meter reader.
Of course Jose told him that. But I need you to get on the stand. I need you to say, I investigated this, and this is what I think happened. I don't believe her dad did those things. She gave a full confession to Jose Baez that she murdered Kaylee and dumped the body. But now she's a legal advocate on TikTok. Listen to this again.
Melanie Michael, 10 News.
Almost 5 years after a jury found Casey Anthony not guilty of murdering her 2-year-old daughter, Kaylee, the man hired to investigate for her defense says that's not true. In a deposition, Dominic Casey claims Jose Baez told him Anthony murdered Kaylee and dumped the body. He also says that Casey Anthony wanted to pin the murder on her family or the meter reader who found Kaylee's body. What's more shocking, Dominic Casey alleges Anthony and Baez were sexually involved, saying he heard Baez tell Anthony she had to perform oral sex in exchange for canceling a TV interview, and that he caught a naked Casey Anthony coming from Baez's private office, and that, quote, Casey told me she had to do what Jose said because she had no money for her defense. Prominent Tampa attorney Barry Cohen doesn't believe the claims, considering this private eye has published a book.
Look, I personally think Casey would say anything. I think she would say anything. And how is she coming out of Jose's office, Jose Baez, when she's in jail? Just because he's her attorney doesn't mean he can get out of jail and she can come see him. Or is this kind of like in the middle where she got out for a little bit and then she went back?
Financial motive, that would be really juicy stuff to help sell his book.
Cohen says as far as a sexual relationship between an attorney and a client, it's not illegal, but it could be unethical.
It'd be prudent to say that attorneys ought not be thinking with their little heads when it's time for thinking with the big heads.
I spoke with Jose Baez by phone tonight. He brushed off the allegations.
That's great. Don't think with the little head, think with the big head. Woo, baby.
saying he had real cases to deal with. The Florida bar says they do not have an open file on Baez regarding the accusations. Courtney Robinson, 10 News WTSP.
Where in the world is Casey Anthony? We know one place she's been recently, the internet.
So this is my first video diary. It is October 13th, which is a Thursday, 2011. And I'm just starting to figure out my new computer.
The 25-year-old made headlines once again when she recently appeared on YouTube in a video diary where she discusses what happens in her future.
I'll be here for many, many months more, even if I'm only here for 6 months, even if I get off probation early. I'll still be here at least until February, the end of February.
What Casey doesn't say is where she is. The background is nondescript, no real indication of where she could be. People magazine celebrity writer Steve Helling had this to say in the current issue. He's, quote, figured out that Casey Anthony is living in St. Lucie County, roughly 2 hours south of Orlando near Palm Beach. And while he won't divulge how he came up with this information, he says, quote, it's true.
I think she's in Clearwater.
And why is that?
I just have a suspicion. I think it would make more sense.
Matrix Fila and her mother live in the Bay Area and followed the case closely. They wrote a book called The Casey Anthony Murder Trial. This author believes the one place Casey isn't is anywhere near Orlando.
I think people have a hard time grasping what happened to Kaylee. And I think they just can't imagine. They see someone who looks outwardly very normal and they go, how could she be involved?
It is a mystery, some people say, will most likely never be solved, at least for now.
Oh, it's solved. Oh, it's solved. And in case you're coming in late, this is what she said. I'm doing it here so she doesn't get another view. This is what she's saying.
We're sweat to death. Okay. Today is Saturday, March 1st, 2025. This is my first of probably many recordings on a series that I'm starting. I am a legal advocate. I am a researcher. I've been in the legal field since 2011. And in this capacity, I feel that it's necessary, if I'm going to continue to operate appropriately as a legal advocate, that I start to advocate for myself and also advocate for my daughter.
Saturday Night Live could not write this. This is just too bizarre.
For those of you who don't know, my name is Casey Anthony. My daughter is Kaylee Anthony. My parents are George and Cindy Anthony. This is not about them. This is not in response to anything that they have said or done. That's not to say that I'm not going to respond at some point to some of the things that they have said and done. The whole point of this is for me to begin to reintroduce myself. I'm doing this both personally for me, but in a professional capacity. Moving forward, the majority of what you will see will be me speaking in a professional capacity. My goal is to continue to help give a voice to people, to give people tools and resources that they can utilize so they actually know where they can turn to.
Woohoo, thanks.
So with that, please join me on Substack. If you have questions, I will set up an email address where we can correspond directly. Up until this point, that has never happened. And it's only going to be on a limited basis regarding legal issues, legal matters. One of the main reasons that I'm doing this, there are people close to me who have been targeted and attacked recently. There are also people close to me who have had some recent things occur. And when necessary, people needed to step up, myself included. So as a proponent for the LGBTQ community, for our legal community, women's rights, I feel that it's important that I use this platform that was thrust upon me and now look at as a blessing as opposed to the curse that it has been since 2008. With that, these aren't going to be perfect. They're not going to be edited. Most of the time, they're not going to be short. But I am proverbially standing in the light, embracing this piece, still going to keep my privacy intact. So you will get very comfortable with my car. And I will explain in great detail why it's so important for people to protect their privacy. It's not just important to public figures, it's even more important to private individuals. And with the current climate in our country, especially, it's that much more important, which is why I am utilizing the Substack platform. Yes, I am.
The current climate in the country, I'm doing just fine. My husband's doing just fine. My kids are doing, well, they're going to be just fine. The current, good Lord, look what you did. Look what you did. And you come out now because you're jealous of Gypsy Rose.
Advertising this and publishing this on TikTok, possibly also through other meta platforms, but my intention is to separate from that and showcase even more why Substack is such an important resource for people to utilize moving forward. Anyway, I appreciate your time, and we'll see how this goes.
Oh, it's going great. It's going great. Let me tell you. Got to be kidding me. And she's in a class all her own with some of these other women. Take a look at your screen. Discussing, but you guys aren't. Look at all these long-term members, new members, gifted memberships, super chats. Y'all come together and say, yeah, we're not going to do this. Yeah, we'll talk about it for a little bit because, curiosity killed the cat. She's not worth a dead toenail. Okay? She's not. Because the prosecuting attorney overcharged and, frankly messed it up, if you want to know the truth. Not guilty, acquitted does not mean innocent. We've learned that before. Look at the case of Harmony Montgomery. Kayla Montgomery is guilty. She's guilty of sin. But she got a proffer agreement. This gets people real heated when I say it, but you look at the case of Gannon Stout. We know that Harley, who is Letitia's daughter, was offered a proffer. Well, they had something on her. Doesn't mean innocent. Doesn't mean newly fallen snow. But I appreciate you guys being here. I'm glad we got through this. As heated as it is, this chick drives me insane. And this is the balls of a burglar to do this. You guys are the absolute best. I'm probably going to be back this afternoon. If I miss you this afternoon, or if I miss you in Discord, one of the Facebook groups, I'll see you back here tomorrow. Because me love you long time.